There you see Andrew Kirkpatrick getting ready to work to Teo Migliavaca. Welcome back inside the Sheridan Meadows Park, Eldridge, Iowa, the 75th ISC World Tournament. It's the winner's bracket final. The New York Gremlins, the Kitchener-Hallman Twins. We're ready to rock and roll, and in with a strike is Andrew Kirkpatrick. Teo Migliavaca, Cam Schiller, Thomas Anoka, the top three for the Twins. Riley Macchia, Ryan Boland, Mariano Montero. Foul back to the screen. Ernesto Sanchez, Wimomata, and Jonathan Lynch, the bottom three in the order for the Hallman Twins. Defensively for the New York Gremlins, Matthew Waugh, Ben Anoka, and Zenon Winters out in front of us here in our broadcast position. That's the outfield around the horn. Jerome Remeke, Jenner Christensen, Ladislaw Maller-Zook, and Eric Ochoa at first base for the Gremlins, and Nick Mullins catching for Andrew Kirkpatrick. I'm Blair Setford on the ISC Network. Thanks for joining us here for the winner's bracket final. It is the two remaining undefeated teams. We know who the three teams are going to be on Championship Saturday. Hill United just punched their ticket with a 6-2 win over the Fargo-Kegel Black Knights. These two teams are going to be there, but what's the order going to be on Saturday? And downstairs to Migliavaca. Kirkpatrick waits for Migliavaca to get back in. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Down goes Migliavaca on strikes. You're just getting in with us. We are starting only about 17 minutes after the hour here on the ISC Network. There's one down. Teo Migliavaca down on strikes. Blair Setford, Luciano Lafranco on the Spanish side of the operation, La Liga Softball Premier. Cam Schiller at the plate for the Hallman Twins. Schiller fouls this one out of play. Schiller comes in batting .455 for the Twins. And Kirkpatrick misses upstairs. Upstairs. And this one is punched out to left field. Schiller will make the turn. Matthew Waugh will get the ball back in for the Gremlins. So Schiller aboard with a base hit. Thomas Anoka, another Hallman twin who's having himself a good event. 500 for Thomas Anoka. Four walks to his name as well, so a good eye at the plate. Called strike. And this one misses downstairs. Good job by Nick Mullins to corral that pitch to keep Cam Schiller at first base. And again, Kirkpatrick misses downstairs. the semifinal game Wednesday night, Kirkpatrick only lasted 2 innings. And a little nubber up along first, and that delay almost cost him the out. Ochoa, that little slow roller, had a notion to turn and go to second, and by the time he did that, he almost lost the out on the play. Riley Macchia, the young Kiwi, currently on the outs with the Black Sox. Have to think a good week here would earn him another look with the big team in New Zealand. Schiller in scoring position for the Twins. Be a big morale boost for the Twins to push one across here in the top of the first. Kirkpatrick right now consistently missing down and away to the righties. Hasn't quite been able to find that zone yet on that side. Finds it there with a pitch. And upstairs, a walk to Riley Macchia. Good patience there by the youngster. And that will bring up Ryan Boland. The 2 runners aboard for the Twins here in the top of the first inning. Schiller, the single, and Macchia, the walk. Swing and a miss. So we stand corrected on catching duties tonight. Mullins is actually at short. Brian Avery back behind the plate. This misses downstairs. Line shot, that's going to get over the head of Malherzuk. Zenon Winters over to cut that off. Ryan Boland, an RBI single as Cam Schiller comes around to score on that hard hit ball by Ryan Boland. The Twins out in front early. Mariano Montero. This one is foul down the right side. Montero, newcomer to ISC. Lots of international experience with Iowa. That's where we are. With Argentina. And missing downstairs again to the righty. That one fouled out of play. Montero, good cut at that one. You're just getting in with us on the ISC network. Cam Schiller singled. Riley Macchia walked. Ryan Boland, an RBI single. And we've got runners on the corners as Macchia is over at third, Boland at first, and the Twins with the 1-0 lead. Kirkpatrick has thrown a lot of pitches already here in the first inning. And that one fouled back on the screen. Has consistently missed just low and outside to this left or righty dominated lineup on the Twins. Ground ball to short. Mullins over with the throw. So Mullins gets Kirkpatrick and the Gremlins out of the inning. But a Ryan Boland RBI single has the Twins out in front with the Gremlins coming to the plate. Wemamata with the last of his warm-up pitches as we'll head to the bottom of the first inning. Leading off for the New York Gremlins, Matthew Waugh. He'll be followed by Jerome Remeke, Ben Anoka, Eric Ochoa, Wayne Laulu in the designated player spot in the 5-hole. Zenon Winters, Ladislaw Malorczuk, Brian Avery in catching tonight, and then Nick Mullins at short. First pitch swinging goes Matthew Waugh, single out to left, sliding in, safe at second base. Matthew Waugh with a good hustling double. For the Twins defensively, Mariano Montero out in left field, Teo Migliavaca in center, Riley Macchia here in right field. Around the horn, Ernesto Sanchez, Cam Schiller, Thomas Anoka, and Jonathan Lynch at first base. And, of course, Wemamata pitching to Ryan Boland. Waugh showcasing the wheels. The grass is very thick here at the park. And the ball, when it gets out to the outfield, it definitely slows down. And Montero had a long way to go get that ball. Matthew Waugh, seeing opportunity, jumped on it. Jerome Remeke up to the plate. Last we saw Jerome, thought he had walked off the game against the Gremlins, only to be absolutely robbed by Bradley Ezekiel. Called a strike by Kevin Wallace with that unique mask that he's got on. And my good friend Mike Morrissey, Kevin and John Hand asked me to ask you about 75T They said you'd know the code. Upstairs to Ramaki. Mata will pick that one up, and Remeke down 1-3. Will move Matthew Waugh nowhere as he's unable to advance. Look back to the bag by Waymo Mata. Beninoka will come to the plate. Little quiet tournament for Beninoka. He's got 4 hits in the tournament, but they're all singles. Nothing extra bases, certainly nothing out of the park. And by a lot of standards, that's not a bad week here at the ISC World Tournament. By Beninoka standards, it's certainly a quiet start. Mata, the hard-throwing right-hander from Argentina. Winning pitcher at the World Cup in 2019. Winning pitcher at the Pan Am Games in 2019. Was in the finals of the ISC World Tournament in 2019 as well. Just fell a little bit short of getting the trifecta. Falling behind Beninoka here, 3-1. And it's a little flare just over the head of Jonathan Lynch at first base, and Beninoka inside out. And ball never got off the skin of the infield. But he moves Matthew Waugh up to third, and runners on the corners for the Gremlins. Eric Ochoa to the plate for the Gremlins. Ochoa batting .444. Four for 9 with a couple of walks thrown in. Swing and just a little nubber, but it rolls foul. Early days in this one. Ryan Boland with an RBI single in the first, top of the first. If you joined us late, the Gremlins with runners on the corners here in the bottom. Big cut by Eric Ochoa. Comes up empty. The most watched man on social media right now in fast-pitch softball circles, Wayne Laulu. At last look, his home run that got posted on the ISC Twitter page was viewed over 2,000 times. Making a ball disappear into the night sky a couple of evenings ago. This one is out into the gap. Waugh's going to score. And Noka getting the wave. He's got a long way to go. The throw is cut off. Out at second base. And that's going to be before Anoka scores, I believe. So I think they're only going to score the one run as Wayne Laulu tried to stretch that into a double. He'll get the 1 RBI. We got a tie game. I've yet to see the ruling on Noka. They've got 2 on the scoreboard, but that's for the guest. So our scoreboard operator is going to have to figure out what's up. Pointed out that the second run for the Gremlins had not reached the plate before the out was made at second base. Ernesto Sanchez aboard with Wimble Mata on the right, Jonathan Lynch to the plate. There's Patrick. Just doesn't quite look to be his usual crisp self. Line batter in order for the home team. And the move there was Ernesto Sanchez. Loser putting him in at the very least front. Misses downstairs. Designed from Avery, looking for the pitch outside. And a bleeder on the infield. Mullins will come across, make the play. Or did Remeke come across on that? Nonetheless, ground ball out. Sanchez up to second on the play. So 2 down in the inning. Teo Migliavaca will get his second look at Andrew Kirkpatrick. Called strike down at the bottom of the zone on Teo Migliavaca. Down on strikes, leading the game off in the first. The Twins already turning the batting order over. Kirkpatrick misses upstairs. Good crowd as the bleachers filled up here in Eldridge. One hopper right into the glove of Eric Ochoa. They don't come any better than that with a bow. The Twins strand one. We're tied at 1. We're going to go to the bottom of the second here on the ISC Network. Stay with us. Home half of the second inning. Zenon Winters, Ladislaw Malorczuk, Brian Avery, Nick Mullins if it gets that far. No word from the Gremlins Brain Trust on why the swap with Avery moving behind the dish and Mullins to shortstop, unless they're just simply looking for more offense by keeping Avery in the lineup. That would be my guess if I had to make one. Change up from Mata to start Malorczuk. And swing and a miss over the top. Good drop ball. You can see the movement from Huemo Mata. And that pitch just off the outside corner. And, of course, that is Zenon Winters at the plate. Malorczuk on deck. Big cut. Called strike 3. Kevin Wallace punches out Zenon Winters. And now we'll get to Ladislaw Malorczuk. A lot of chatter coming from the Gremlins dugout. They've got a deep, deep bench. The Twins, on the other hand, just 3 players on the bench for them. Daniel Chapman, Gonzalo Masmu, and Gian Cialacomo are the substitutes for the Hallman Twins. Christensen, Campbell, and Oka, Josh Pettit, Juan Podolicio, Varm Matosian, and Ethan Rodriguez on the bench for the Gremlins. And Mallerzug chases upstairs with the rise ball up and under the zone. And Mata, a pair of strikeouts to open up the inning here. The Gremlins taking Andrew Kirkpatrick out of the lineup and going with the more traditional designated player arrangement. Kirkpatrick has really kind of struggled at the plate here this week. Hasn't been able to get on track, and just allowing him to concentrate on the pitching. Had a notion to go. You see Mata wiping the brow. For you Fahrenheit fans, it's still 79 Fahrenheit here in Eldridge, Iowa. Avery looking to get the Gremlins started here. And this one well hit to left, but that's going to die in the glove of Mariano Montero. So a 3-up, 3-down inning for Huimamata. The Hallman Twins, they will come back to the plate looking to break this tie. Head to the top of the third coming up. Back here on the ISC network, Cam Schiller, 2-3-4 for the Hallman Twins. Tapper on the infield. Mullins has to come across, makes a good throw, and tag at the bag. That'll bring up Thomas Anoka. He hit that little slow roller to Ochoa back in the first. And he'll foul that one off. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Thomas Anoka. 1 down. Top of the 3rd inning. I think somebody's got their lights on here in the outfield. Car lights. We'll get whoever that is settled. The number of vehicles has made their way over to park up close to the perimeter fence. And now we get the lights turned off. And now they're back on again. So Anoka, 3-2, and hits this one down the right side, but that's going to go out of play. Hard cut there by Thomas Anoka. Found one that he liked, but he fouled it straight back to the screen. So we'll reset and we'll try this one again. Kirkpatrick misses downstairs. Ball 4 to Thomas Anoka. Made his way on base a lot this week via the walk. Riley Macchia will come to the dish. Riley got a walk in the first. And a called strike there to Macchia. And this one misses upstairs from Kirkpatrick. Called strike 3 outside corner. Riley Macchia down on strikes. And that'll bring up Ryan Boland, author of the first run of the game for the Hallman Twins. Chopper on the infield. Got to wait for Anoka to cross in front, but Meller Zook, smooth-handed at second base, throws out Boland. Twins will strand the one. We'll go to the bottom of the 3rd. Winners bracket final here, the ISC World Tournament. So it was our 75th anniversary. And earlier this year, we did some polling on the ISC website, and we asked our fans who were the teams of the decade. And in the winner's bracket final, we'll tell you how the polling for that came out. I don't think it'd be anybody's surprise when you think about the 1950s that the Long Beach Nighthawks were the team of the decade as voted by you, the fans. And I want to be really clear, this isn't an official ISC endorsement of the Long Beach Nighthawks or any other team that's going to come up here as we go through this over the course of the game as to, yeah, they were definitively the best. This is simply fan voting, and fans always get the say. So Long Beach Nighthawks, with consecutive championships from 55 through 60. Now, don't forget that there was a split between the original National Softball Congress and then the International Softball League during some of those years. And you had teams like the Hoke Packers and Sapulpa Brick and Tile win multiple championships across the different divisions. But what you did have was domination by a guy by the name of Leroy Zimmerman, who before he came to the game of softball in the 50s was a National Football League quarterback in the 40s. And Leroy Zimmerman is who the top pitcher award here in the ISC is named after. Cleo Goyette was a second baseman for the Long Beach Nighthawks in those days. And he was all-world between the National Softball Congress and the International Softball League, a total of 16 times in that period. And Cleo Goyette is who our MVP award is named after. So some outstanding players for the Long Beach Nighthawks in the 1950s, the foundational years for the ISC, and they were overwhelmingly voted by fans as the team of the decade in the 1950s. Swing and a miss. Big cut there by Nick Mullins, chasing upstairs on Wimamata. So down goes Mullins at the bottom of the order. And we'll go back to the top for Matthew Waugh. Matthew Waugh, bottom of the first, practically first pitch swinging on Wimamata, knocked a double out to left field and come around to score. Called a strike on the outside corner. And again, out to left, off the glove of Schiller. A valiant effort for it, but Waugh is going to pull out the handbrake as he comes around first and be content with the single there. Schiller did a great job to knock that down and deflect it. It looked like that might be destined for the gap. But Matthew Waugh, 2 for 2 tonight. And that will bring up Jerome Remeke. Ground ball out in the first. And that is hard hit through the 5.5 hole. Waugh will stop at second base with the ball in front of him. And the top of the order again here has things in motion for the Gremlins. Beninoka lifted a little soft single just over the head of Jonathan Lynch at first base for the Twins. That was back in the first. And a runner in scoring position for Beninoka. Opportunity to give the Gremlins the lead. Called a strike. High hopper on the infield. Flip to 2 for 1. Back to first. Call it 2. Some real good fancy defense there by the Kitchener-Hallman Twins. Gets them out of that little jam. It is a rare occurrence when you can double up Beninoka. But the middle infield for the Hallman Twins gets it done. Mariana Montero off for the Twins. Swing and a miss there from that offering from Kirkpatrick. And he seems to have settled down after a bit of a rough start. Misses upstairs. Two balls, 2 strikes to Mariano Montero. He'll be co-captain with Bruno Matroni on the Argentine national team. Well hit. Wow, we'll have to watch that one go. On a line and over the fence. Matty Waugh thought he was going to be able to play that off the fence, turned and stopped in disbelief as that ball traveled just over the top of that orange fence. Home run, Mariano Montero. So make it 2-1 for the Twins, and Ernesto Sanchez will step in. Did a lot of the catching for the Twins over the course of the summer. Moves to third with the arrival of Ryan Bolin for the last couple of events. This one misses downstairs from Kirkpatrick. Sanchez, the Mexican national team. And a foul off at the plate. The Mexican national team continuing to improve. They beat Argentina twice on a tour in the late spring prior to that Peligro Cup tournament. Argentina playing through Mexico and dropping a couple of decisions. That pitch misses upstairs. Swing and a miss. Down goes Ernesto Sanchez. So Kirkpatrick comes back with a strikeout after yielding the home run, the line drive home run to Mariano Montero. Remomata will come to the plate. This one fouled off. Mata got into one the other night, and that ball disappeared into the night sky. And called a strike. Mata will take a bit of a stroll, and 0-2. And swing and a miss, chases that one out of the zone, and I think was thrown off his rhythm there with that strike call on the second pitch. Jonathan Lynch, ground out back in the second. Twins looking to get back to the ISC championship game for the first time since 2014 when they lost 1-0 to the Chiefs. Hard hit ball and gone. Jonathan Lynch is going to sprint around the bases and set a land speed record for a home run trot. Another line drive home run. So a pair of line drive shots here have the Twins out in front 3-1. Called strike there to Teo Migliavaca. Wallace do a little bit of housekeeping, and we'll go back to top here for Migliavaca. Now the third time through for the Twins. Upstairs. Time at the plate as Migliavaca will step out. Some buzz in the air on those two line drive home runs. Migliavaca swings and misses through it. But the Twins up 3-1 on a pair of home runs from Mariano Montero and Jonathan Lynch. So picking up our team of the decade team, we'll flash forward to the 1960s. And this was the decade of teams like the team from Rock Island, Ham's Beer, and Dotrick Realty out of El Paso. They won 2 in a row in 61 and 62. But again, the Long Beach Nighthawks would win in 60, 68. We also saw the first appearance of Ty Stofflet with Sal's Lunch in 69 from Philadelphia, and they would win the ISC World Tournament that year. The World Tournament was almost exclusively played just down the road from where we are in Eldridge at Rock Island in Illinois. Ultimately, fans voted for the Long Beach Nighthawks as team of the 1960s. They were almost in the top 4 just about every year. Sometimes winning, sometimes second, sometimes third or fourth. But Long Beach Nighthawks, your team of the decade in the 1960s, as well as voted by you, the fans. So Ochoa, Laulu, and Zenon Winters scheduled batters this inning for the Gremlins. There's a hard hit ball right back up the middle. That's going to almost split the gap and then get to the fence as Migliavaca is able to track it down right in front of us. So Eric Ochoa continues his hard hitting with a double. And Wayne Laulu will come up to the plate. Aggressive base running by Laulu back in the first. You could say that maybe ultimately cost the Gremlins a run as Beninoka was about to score, but Laulu thrown out at second on the play, and that occurring before Inoka crossed the plate, and he certainly was not coasting. Big cut there by Wayne Laulu. With the Gremlins down by 2, one swing of the bat by this guy could tie things up in a hurry. Oh, this one fouled off at the plate. Wayne had a notion to go after that, but couldn't hold back. This is downstairs. Good 0-2 pitch there from Waymo Mata. Nothing anybody could do with that pitch down there. High hopper, but that's going to be foul. So stays at 1-2. Mata. And that pitch outside. Laulu again had a notion to go after it, but checked the swing. And inside, they're going to check on that one. And no. So 3-2. That one is muscled out to left, but that's going to be foul down that left side. You see where Boland was motioning where he wanted the pitch, inside, and Wayne Laulu still able to muscle that pitch down the line. This one is skied on the right side this time, but that's going to fall out of play. Look for the ball to come back in. And Lynch able to get that one back from the fans. So we'll do this again. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Wayne Laulu. Mata the bend at the waist. And Boland will ask for time and want to run through that sequence again. Ochoa, the leadoff double, he's out at second. You just see his foot coming into your frame. Downstairs, ball 4 gets away from Boland. And a free base for Eric Ochoa on ball 4. Runners at the corners now for Zenon Winters. Zenon caught looking, leading off the second inning. An opportunity here for the New York Gremlins to get a little bit closer in this one, trailing by 2. Winters will foul that one off. And this one well hit, left field, going back to the track, to the fence, and gone! Zenon Winters, a 3-run home run, and the Gremlins jump out in front 4-3. Mariano Montero gave chase out there in left field, but just ran out of real estate and had to watch that one sail into a pop-up tent that is set up out there on the left field side. Zenon Winters, that's his biggest moment here this World Tournament. Malarzuk now to the plate, and some renewed life on the Gremlins bench, and action to the Twins bullpen as well. And this one is skied out of play backwards as Malarzuk right on that pitch. Daniel Chapman making his way down the right field line to do some throwing. We haven't seen Daniel Chapman in virtually a week. Had a notion to bunt. That sent the infield scurrying in. Chapman worked an inning of relief way back on Sunday in the Twins' first game, and it was not really what you would call a stellar appearance. And this one misses downstairs, and Wimamata wavering a little bit here after that big 3-run home run by Winters. The winner of this game advances to the ISC Championship game, scheduled for tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time. Call to strike. Malarzuk thought he had earned his way to first. And this one is flared out to left, a long way for Montero to go, and that's going to fall just on the other side of the fence. And that misses downstairs, ball 4. Long walk out for Steve Kuzer, skipper for the Hallman Twins. Top of the arm to Mata. It continues to be his ball game for the time being. As Kuzer and Boland will continue the conversation as they make their way back to their respective spots. Whoever's on the short end of this one will face the Hill United Chiefs in the third place game tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. scheduled start time. Avery, and this one pulled foul. Boland is going to hold the ball for a long time. And that's going to draw some cheers from the Gremlins dugout for Brian Avery. Kevin Wallace, hands on hips. And I'm sure a whisper to Ryan Boland about that. Brian Avery back into the box. Mata. And a good swing, but fouled off on the right side this time. And this one is punched out to right, but that is going to fall just out of play. And Avery is going to lace this one, but still foul down the right-hand side. There's a playground over there. Hopefully nobody ended up wearing that one. Downstairs to the Gremlins catcher. On the move, slide in. And no signal at all. We're going to assume that he's safe since Malazuk is going to hang around the bag. Be nice to get a signal from the umpire on the call. Avery called out on strikes on the play, so almost a throw him out, strike him out, or strike him out, throw him out. So Mullins to the dish. Little chopper on the infield. Schiller's got to come get it. Sidearm throw, and they get Mullins. Or are we calling that a dead ball? Nope, that is an out. Looked like Mullins was making his way back to the dish, but just going across the dugout. So Matthew Waugh will come up to the plate. Double and a single tonight, 2 for 2. And a called strike on the outside corner. Swing and a miss over the top there by Matthew Waugh. So Chapman and gang have ended the throwing and just interested spectators on the side of the field at the moment. They will smartly wait until a break in between batters before they make their way down to the Twins dugout. The entrance is virtually all the way to the plate. Up the middle again, Matthew Waugh, 3 for 3 tonight. In comes Zook. So that walk comes around to score. Matthew Waugh raising his average at the end of the week. So Jerome Remeke ground out and a single. Oh and 1. Chopper on the infield. Schiller again will have to come across. Sidearm throw. Gets him at the bag. Some good defense there by Cam Schiller, but the Gremlins take the lead 5-3. So continuing with our stories of teams of the decades as we flip the page over to the 1970s. And in the 70s, you had the only rainout of the ISC in World Tournament history. 1971 in Tulsa, Long Beach Nighthawks were undefeated in the championship game. The final night washed out by 7 inches of rain. Can you imagine 7 inches of rain? 3 teams left. The undefeated Nighthawks were declared the champions, and teams from El Paso and Englewood, Colorado were declared the co-runners-up. Lakewood Jets would make the World Tournament in 1973, edging out the Nighthawks in the California qualifier, and they would win in 1973. Page's Raiders from Sun City, Arizona, hosted and won in 1974. The Nighthawks would win another in 75, finish second in 77, second in 79, And ultimately, again, in the 1970s, you, the fans, voted the Long Beach Nighthawks the team of the decade in the 1970s. Kirkpatrick working very quick here in the top of the fifth inning. And that was Cam Schiller down on strikes before we could barely say that he was up. And with the strikeout, that's going to be it for Andrew Kirkpatrick, giving him the opportunity to come off the field to the appreciation of the fans. So Josh Pettit will be asked to close this one out for the New York Gremlins. The Gremlins have done a pretty good job of calming the nerves for Pettit. Has pitched a lot internationally for the Black Sox, but prior to this week hadn't been this deep in the ISC World Tournament, pitching with Bear Bottom Lodge and with Ostrander prior to that, and kind of finishing up the track a little bit. Never in the winner's bracket final. So he will face countrymate Thomas Anoka leading off, or not leading off rather, but with one out in the inning. Anoka, ground out and a walk. So Ramaki with a tap on the back will trot back to third, and Pettit in with a strike. New Zealand. And this one is lined out to right. Going to land on the edge of that dirt skin, which extends out a fair bit here on the main diamond. Thomas Anoka continues a good week at the ISC World Tournament for the Hallman Twins. Riley Macchia, walk and a strikeout. So a bit of an advantage here for the Twins, as the first two batters that Josh Pettit is called on to face are countrymates and those who get to see him pitch on a regular basis. One out, one aboard. It's swing and a miss by Riley Macchia, chasing upstairs from Josh Pettit. called. Strike 3. Riley Macchia can't get the bat off the shoulder again. 2 down for Pettit. He'll face Ryan Boland. Boland, left-handed power hitter, in the 5 spot for the Twins. Often has a sense for the dramatic. I can think of a couple of key home runs in the 3 years we were together with the Toronto Gators that Ryan Boland hit. Walk-off in a qualifier. A big home run against this Gremlins team in a Thursday night winners bracket game. This one upstairs. The RBI single from Boland back in the first inning. Got the Twins on the board. And a ground out to Malherzuk in his last trip. This one is laced out to left. That's going to fall in front of Waugh. And 2 for 3 tonight, Ryan Boland with another single. That'll bring up Mariano Montero. Montero with a line drive home run that just got out of this park on a line. And Kuzer comes all the way over to tell Boland that there's going to be a pinch runner. That'll be Gian Cialacomo. The young Argentine will come on to run for Ryan Boland. And that's a pretty good trade. Boland runs well for a catcher. Called a strike. Montero thought about going around, but called a strike. And Avery will head out to chat with Pettit, and Montero and Wallace will talk about the swing and the call. Two down here in the inning. A chopper on the infield. Malherzuk will let the runner pass in front and then throw at Montero. Twins will strand a couple. And Josh Pettit comes on and does the job, gets the final 2 outs of the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th. Gremlins up by 2. So we start thinking about the 1980s in terms of teams of the decade, and the 80s would open with a win by Aurora Home Savings. Aurora, a powerhouse in the ASA through the 60s and 70s, represented Team USA at the first couple of ISF, then the ISF World Softball Championships. Camarillo Kings with Mark Smith would win 2 more in a row in 81 and 82. Seattle Pay Pack, well, they were based out of Bellevue, Washington, but they were known as Seattle Pay Pack at least. And they would come to the ISC and would win in 85 and in 86. But the team that got the most votes as the team of the 1980s was the team that would win 2 in 88 and 89. And it was Pencor just edging out those Seattle and those Northwest teams, the Pay and Pack squads, as your team of the 1980s. Pencor, perhaps the first of the so-called big money super teams, would win in 88 and 89. Migliavaca is going to come across and make the catch as Beninoka flies out. And just to finish the thought about the 1980s, often thought as the golden age, if you will, of fast pitch softball. Bunt attempt, popped up. Boland dives for it and crashes on top of Sanchez. That's a couple of big lads coming together. Add on 5 pounds of equipment for Boland. And glad I'm not on the receiving end of that. Some of the players who would make their ISC debut in the 1980s, some of the best players ever to play this game. You think of pitchers like Jimmy Moore from Pay and Pack, perhaps the last best American pitcher. Eric Ochoa will come to the plate. A double his last trip. And this one lifted up and foul. Brad Underwood, a young Brad Underwood, would go to the ISCs for the first time. His Canadian Tire team, Owen Sound Canadian Tire, finishing in the top 3 in 1988. The emergence of the Farm Tavern in 1987. Decatur ADM teams. Dave Scott. We recently lost Dave Scott in the last few months. One of the hardest throwers in the ISC. Pencor, guys like Paul McGann, Steve Schultz, who passed away, the two of them tragically. Marty Kernahan, one of the best position players ever, and not just from Canada. And this one, slugged out to center field. Ochoa makes a big turn and then back to first. So he's 2 for 3 on the night with a single and a double. Having a good night is Eric Ochoa. Wayne Laulu, an RBI single. Could have been more. That was back in the first, and then a walk. And then he would come around on that big 3-run home run by Zenon Winters. Daniel Chapman back throwing again for the Hallman Twins. These are the innings where you've really got to grind. Wimamata's got to be careful with Wayne Laulu. Can't make a mistake here. Can't let the fatigue creep in. It's been a long, hot week. There have been days off, the schedule is decompressed if you stay in the winner's bracket. So Mata hasn't been overly taxed, but the days have been really hot. And even still, 77 Fahrenheit. Schiller to second for one, back to first, not in time. Schiller and Thomas Anoka have done very well together. Anoka, mostly an outfielder by trade, but has been pretty good in there on the dirt, as has Jonathan Lynch at first base. Talked about that earlier in the week, a pair of outfielders manning the right side of the infield. Winter's swing is practically the difference in the game right now. Put the bat out. It's a called strike. Took something off that pitch and it floated in kind of at the top of the zone, but just over it, said Kevin Wallace. And skips this one in. Bolin does a good job to keep that in front of him. And Schiller will pick that up and take it to the bag himself. So they'll strand a couple. Gremlins still leading 5-3. We'll take it to the top of the sixth. And we've been talking about teams of the decade. And we just finished up in the 1980s as Pencor would win in 88 and 89. In 90, Seattle Seafirst would edge Pencor at the wire. The Pencor would win in 91 and again in 92 as National Healthcare from Sioux City, Iowa. But in 93, they would get beat again in the finals by the Toronto Gators. And then the Gators would lose the championship game to Green Bay All-Car Roadrunners in 94 in a memorable World Tournament in Summerside and Prince Edward Island as the ISC made the journey to Atlantic Canada. In 95, back in Sioux City, the Toronto Gators would beat Larry Miller Toyota in a double dip. Darren Zach going on one of the most memorable runs ever in the ISC World Tournament. Toronto would lose to a young Dean Holine in Surrey, BC in their first game. Darren Zach would win the next 10 as he just put the bit between his teeth, put the team on his back, and said, let's go. Inside from Pettit, Ernesto Sanchez, Quimo Mata, and Jonathan Lynch, scheduled batters. And got cars with lights on again. Can't have the cars with lights on. Some of those records that Darren Zach set in that 1995 run, the strikeouts, the most consecutive outs. This one right on a line to Ben Anoka as he ranges a couple steps over to his left And a line drive out. Hard hit ball by Ernesto Sanchez, but Beninoka takes care of that. And we'll go down to Huimamata in the 8th spot. Pair of strikeouts, but a scoring threat every time he comes to the plate. Tampa Smokers would win a couple of world tournaments in 96 and 98. The Farm Tavern in 97. Out both Tampa and the Farm, as well as that NHCD team. A four-way race, but the Toronto Gators would win it at the wire. In your vote for Team of the Decade for the 1990s. Pettit up 0-2 on Huimamata. Swing and a miss. Down for the third time tonight. Pettit looking good tonight for the New York Gremlins. Trying to punch their ticket to their third straight ISC championship game. Trying to win their third straight ISC championship game. Jonathan Lynch, home run, that line drive home run, surprised a lot of people. Lynch is a gap hitter and known for his speed. And had an idea about a bunt, but looks at a ball low. And this one in low as well. So 2-0 on Lynch. They're going to ask on the appeal and not get that one. And there's a called strike. So 3-1 to the 9 batter. Chapman and the bullpen brigade have headed back into the dugout. So right now it looks like it's Mata's game. And Lynch had a healthy cut, fouling that one straight back. Well hit, left, Matthew Waugh back to the fence and reels that one in. Jonathan Lynch gave it a ride, but just not far enough. We'll go to the home half of the 6th coming up. We'll turn the page and we'll start talking about the 2000s. Turn the page indeed, like Bob Seeger. Somebody walking by and listening in. Decatur Pride would win the first ISC World Tournament in the new century over the Broken Bow Travelers. The Travelers would win in 01 in Eau Claire. And then St. Joseph's Frontier Casino in a very memorable run through the losers bracket in Kitchener, Ontario. 03 again, Broken Bow and 04 Broken Bow as well up in Fargo. And then the two county materials teams in 05 and 06. We heard Scott Standifer talk about how special those county materials teams were to him as he came down and talked to us about his induction into the ISC Hall of Fame on Sunday. 07, the Farm would win in Kitchener. The River Shark Twins would close out the decade with a pair of championships in 08 and 09. But the winner of the fan vote was the Farm Tavern in a bit of an upset, but they were top 4 8 times during the decade of the 2000s, and the fan vote goes to the Farm Tavern. So Ladislaw Malarzuk at the plate. Base hit out to left for Malarzuk. Brings that Gremlin dugout back to life. So Brian Avery has called a good game for his two pitchers tonight, Kirkpatrick and Pettit. Avery comes to the plate. Opener for a strike. And up to second goes Malarzuk into scoring position. The Twins could ill afford to let Malarzuk come around. They'll be chasing 2 in the top of the 7th. 3 gets a little bit tougher. Downstairs from Wemomata. Chopper off the glove of Schiller. Had to try to play the short hop. Couldn't come up with it. Tough play. Knowing the scorers this week, they're going to call that an error. I have to probably agree, as I've seen Cam Schiller make that play multiple times here this week, including tonight. So runners on the corners. We'll get a pinch runner for Avery. Fairly certain that was Campbell Anoka, and I think I just heard them announce that. So let's go with Campbell Anoka. Foul back by Nick Mullins. Bolin tried to frame that one up. Not sure if this is an ISC first, but all three Anoka brothers currently playing in the game. Thomas at second base for the Hallman Twins. Youngest brother, Campbell, running over at first, and Ben Anoka is playing center field for the Gremlins. So the three Anokas all on the Black Sox roster, and now all in the same game in the winner's bracket final in ISC. Mullins comes up empty and down on strikes. Matty Waugh, 3 for 3, double, couple singles, an RBI. And an opportunity here to boost the lead for the Gremlins. Malorzook over on third. There's a called strike. And that one's chopped foul. And right on that one from Waymo Mata, Matthew Waugh fouls that one back to the screen. The runners on the corners. Malorzook at third. Campbell and Oka running for Brian Avery at first. Matthew Waugh at the plate. On the move, there goes Anoka. The throw is high, coming home. But they got him at second base, getting the tag down. Good job over there to get the tag down, to get the out, as that throw was a bit high from Bolin, but they got him. And we'll go to top of the seventh. The Twins need 2 to tie. So one last look at our teams of the decade. And we open the decade with the Kitchener River Shark Twins chasing a three-peat, but they would run into the Jarvis Travelers, who would go on to three-peat of their own in 10, 11, and 12. In 12, they would knock off a new team to the ISC, the Hill United Chiefs, in 2012. Chiefs lost 2 games that year, or 3, I think, but 2 of them were in the finals of the ASA and the ISC. But the Chiefs would go on to win very memorably in 2013. The no-hitter by Adam Folkert against these Gremlins in this winner's bracket game. And then perfect for 7 1/3 innings before Jamie Shields would slide in with the game winner in the 10th inning that year. Hill United would win again in 14 and in 15. they'd be in the silver medal spot in 16 as the Gators would return and get their only ISC World Championship. The Gremlins would win the last two in 18 and 19. In 17, Hill United would return to the top of the mountain. And no surprise at all, with Adam Falkert, Nick Shales, Bradley Ezekiel, Steve Mullally, Jason Hill, and all of the people who have been on that Hill United squad through the 2010s, the Hill United Chiefs, ISC fans voting as the team of the decade. Malazuk will pick up this multi-hopper, underhand toss to Eric Ochoa for the first out of the inning. Teo Migliavaca ground out. Two batter, Cam Schiller, and then Thomas Anoka for the Twins as they are down to their final two outs in the winner's bracket final. Big cut there by Cam Schiller. Schiller talked about making the transition from baseball, where he played his whole life growing up and drafted and into the minor leagues, before making the transition over to fast-pitch softball, and of course was just fed a steady diet of rise balls as word got out that he was a baseball player, having to adjust and looking to hit and swing over the ball when he saw the rise ball swing. This one well hit to left, deep left, and gone! Cam Schiller, a solo home run. This one is not over yet. Hallman Twins within one. Five to four, and you still got to go through the meat of the Twins order. The two Kiwis, Anoka and Makia. Pettit to the waist. And there's a strike. One ball, one strike to Thomas Anoka. Real keen eye at the plate here this week. 5 walks so far in the ISC World Tournament. 1 for 2 with another one of those walks tonight. And this one misses downstairs. Kiwi versus Kiwi here. Pettit and Thomas Anoka. And this one misses downstairs. 3-1. Pettit not wanting to give in to Anoka. I've seen Thomas Anoka hit Some huge home runs over the years. One in St. Catharines comes to mind against Adam Folkert. Line shot past a diving Nick Mullins. And Thomas Anoka aboard with a hard hit single right back up the middle. And Thomas Anoka 2 for 3 on the night. Riley Macchia can make things really interesting. Macchia had a walk back in the first and has watched a couple of third strikes go by since. And big swing and a miss there. Good drop ball by Josh Pettit. Swing and a miss again. Same pitch, same result. One down in the inning here. And upstairs, Josh Pettit is having to work through the top of this tough Twins order to get this win. After the ground out by Migliavaca, home run to Cam Schiller, hard hit single by Thomas Anoka. Riley Macchia at the plate. Avery wanted that call. So we'll go to a full count on Riley Macchia. Swing and a miss. Down goes Macchia. Pettit gets him with the drop ball. Greg Leather out for a visit. Ryan Boland, 2 for 3 tonight in RBI, couple of hard hit singles. And they're going to come back with Kirkpatrick to pitch to the left-handed Boland. You don't often see the lefty-lefty matchup. Interesting decision here by Greg Leather and the coaching staff by bringing Kirkpatrick back in. He's been sitting and maybe throwing elsewhere because I didn't see him throwing at all down the sideline. So maybe he's gone over to the field behind, which is vacant tonight, and he may have been throwing over there, but certainly it wasn't down the sidelines. Josh Pettit had looked pretty good. Boland did have a hard hit single off of Pettit, but he's had success off of Kirkpatrick in the past too. So a bit of a roll of the dice by Greg Leather. Greg Leather looking to stay cool with this bet. And Ryan Boland with the game on his back. Ground ball, first pitch swinging. Malorzook will toss to first. The Gremlins off to the ISC championship game. They win 5-4. Kirkpatrick has to throw but one pitch. Hallman Twins will play at 4:30 tomorrow in the losers bracket final against the Hill United Chiefs. Well, the Gremlins will await the winner of that one in the ISC championship game for the third straight year. Join us tomorrow on the ISC network. It's Championship Saturday. Can't believe we're already at Championship Saturday. It just seems like only a couple days ago that we signed on and we talked about welcoming you back after more than 720 days away. We'll be on the air at 2 p.m. for the ISC Legends Championship game. That'll be followed by 4:30, the losers bracket final. Hill United and the Kitchener-Hallman Twins, and then the Gremlins will get the winner of that. Scheduled start time, 7 p.m. Central. Make sure you're with us. Make a date, settle back, and enjoy it. One more time tomorrow, Championship Saturday, coming up on the ISC Network. For Luciano, Blair Sedford, thanks for joining us, and good night.